let's open up with a prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east toward Jerusalem. Abba Father, Yahweh, Elohim, Olive, Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yasharah, we thank you once again, Yahweh, for all your blessings, all your patience with us throughout the week. Once again, as we come to the end of your week, Yahweh, we thank you for allowing us to participate in your Shabbat, Yahweh, and even giving us an understanding to know when your hallowed and set apart day is, Yah. And we thank you for the peace that you offer us on this day, Yahweh, and those that wish to stay inside your hedge of protection, Yahweh, as we gather according to your commandments, Yah. Yah, we ask you humbly, Yah, that you please forgive us of our sins and trespasses, Yah. And we ask that you also continually open up our eyes, Yahweh, so that we can see the error in our ways, and not only the error in others, but the error in our own ways, Yahweh, so that we could not mislead or do things that are not bringing glory unto you, Yah. So, Yah, we ask and we invite you in our lives. We accept the chastening and the direction and the counsel that you send through your servants, Yahweh. We thank you for that, Yah, for we know that this word is what keeps us alive, and the deeds of the flesh is what kills us daily, Yahweh. So we're thankful for the grace that you've allowed us during this time. Yah, we ask that you also share that spirit of understanding, not only with those in the presence attending, Yahweh, but all your children across the four corners of the earth, Yah, that gather to keep your commandment, Yahweh, to show you your sign, Yahweh, of this Shabbat. We ask that you open up their eyes and their mind as well, so they can take part in their destiny in fulfilling the prophecies that you set forth through our forefathers in this word, Yah. Yah, these things we humbly come before you, and we thank and pray through Yahshua HaMashiach. Amen. Amen. All right, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Melvin Shelley. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Larry Evans. Good to see you. And Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tafara. And Shabbat Shalom, brother.
Shabbat Shalom, Maki. Good to see you.
All right, my name is Yadon Yasharah. My brother Yonatan Yasharah. And title of today's Shabbat study is YAH's Hedge of Protection. YAH's Hedge of Protection. And with our current situation, you know, we are trying to return unto the Father. We're learning how to keep these commandments and trying to make these corrections as we see the error in our ways. And ever since the garden, when we committed that transgression, the man committed that transgression, we were put in a situation where we now had death in our lives. And what you reap with sin is death in your life. And the Most High was so gracious to send his son to provide a better way for us to learn how to get out of this death that we brought ourselves in by delaying the payment for our death through this grace period. But with this grace period, we have to stay in a specific area, inside a hedge, inside a protected area of the Most High, so that we don't receive the judgment that's already due to us. And we have to learn how to use that to our benefit, not only for a selfish reason, but so that you can carry on doing the works that you're supposed to do, fulfill the true purpose in your life, which is to serve the Most High and to live your life blessed and more abundantly. So once we learn that idea and that concept of a hedge, that there is an actual protection around us, we could seek to stay inside that. And once you're in that protection, nothing can harm you. Nobody can touch you. So this is a secret that's been kept away from us, and we're being told by the people that we look to for guidance that, you know, this protection is going to be bought with money or bought with an appearance in a community. But it can't be. It can only be utilized in one way, which is to walk the narrow path and to keep these commandments. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to first look at what the wages of sin is. Let's open up in Romans chapter 6. Romans chapter 6. And Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tanya and Brother Isaiah. And Shabbat Shalom, Kim Marie. Good to see y'all, family.
Romans chapter 6, and we'll begin at verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
Now that makes absolutely no sense. So we know we're in the grace period. So we know that, all right, we are not going to necessarily die immediately. Judgment is being deferred. So does that mean that this is given to us so that we can continue doing the thing that is causing death in our lives? That's foolishness. But this is what we're being taught, you know, in by these mass 501c3 organizations. They're telling you, you know, nah, Jesus got that for you. You know, you can just appear righteous in this community, this community according to what we as men decide, and Jesus gonna cover all that for you. You good. And they'll turn to the same New Testament and point out and cherry pick verses to use that to tell you, look, this is how we're justifying it. But the same person that they're using to justify that is telling you point blank, no. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 2. Certainly not. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Know you not that so many of us as were baptized into Yahshua Mashiach were baptized into his death? Therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that, like as Mashiach was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life.
That's if you believe in what Yahshua did. You believe in the power to be reborn. You believe that a regular man can have the spirit of the Most High, the firstborn spirit, Yasharal, in his body and walk according to that spirit and not according to the flesh like all the human beings around him. If you truly believe that, and he died for us so that we as persons that have transgressed and have sinned versus him can walk the same way as him by utilizing the same spirit he did. If you believe that, then you're not going to purposely walk in that sin. If you truly believe. But if you are still purposely walking in that sin, then that's showing that you don't truly believe in your heart. Does that mean you're going to be perfect? No. But you have to at least believe and make the attempt and say, listen, I know I will never be perfect. I have to be perfected through the Mashiach. But I believe so much that I'm going to utilize ability that I have to try to walk in the same manner as the Mashiach. Go ahead.
Verse 4, therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Mashiach was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man is impaled with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin. For he that is dead is freed from sin. Now, if we be dead with Mashiach, we believe that we shall also live with him. Knowing that our Messiah, being raised from the dead, dies no more, death has no more dominion over him. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he lives unto Elohim. Likewise reckon you also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto Elohim through Yahshua Mashiach our Master. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield you your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto Elohim as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto Elohim. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under the law, but under grace. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? Certainly not.
All right. So what he's saying there says, well, shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? Certainly not. Elohim forbid. So when he's saying because we are not under the law, people will try to say that means we don't have to keep the commandments. That doesn't make any sense. Then you can go rob and steal and rape and pillage and do all that and just say, hey, I believe in Jesus. He died so that I can do that. Now that sounds foolish. So man says, no, that's not what that means. That means, you don't have to keep all these commandments that I don't deem important. But at the end of the day, if the Most High made these commandments, he didn't make them just because. He made them for a reason. So who are we to decide what commandments we're going to keep and what commandments we're not going to keep? So this is why he's saying just because we're under grace, meaning we're not being punished immediately by having to kill an animal or being killed ourselves, that doesn't mean we continue sinning. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Know you not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants you are to whom you obey?
All right. So whoever you yield yourself to, you yield yourself to your flesh, which is going to have you do things adverse to what YAH says is righteous. Then you are yielding yourselves as servants to the adversary, because the adversary is a spirit that is adverse to righteousness. The spirit that wants to do the opposite of righteousness. It never wants to do righteousness. It wants to do the opposite. So that's who we are serving when we yield ourselves to anybody or any spirit that has us doing something that is opposite of what the Most High tells us to do. So if we call ourselves servants of YAH, that means we're yielding ourselves and our body to YAH. We are not thinking about, well, why should I do it? No, we are yielding because this is what we're going to serve. And eventually he will give us the understanding. But if you yield yourself to how you feel, and that's going to determine whether or not you're going to keep the commandments, then you're yielding yourself to the adversary.
Verse.
Brother, can I say something?
Go ahead, Elder.
Just want to add a little bit to that because, this is what we do. We bounce back and forth because of our training. Yeah, we are basically weak in the flesh, so we will, do these foolish things from time to time, but we don't have to do them as much as we usually do them because how we yield ourselves to our flesh, but, that's why I'm very glad how you're explaining this right now because we need to look at ourselves, as Yeshua sees us, he sees that we are fallible. He sees that we are weak in many areas. He sees we need training, and that's what we have to look at. We need training in righteousness. And if we consistently look at ourselves, judge ourselves, and try to, bridle our mouth and our emotions, maybe we can get a hold on our actions. So that's why we're talking about. People will come against these laws and so forth and say, well, I don't have to do that. I don't think that, I need to continue to do that. But yet you ride in the fence because when you want righteousness, you understand you want these laws. When you don't want righteousness, then you don't want these laws. It's like people would say, a child is when you want one. But nobody really, many people don't give enough thought to that zygote, that when you first, get the woman get first pregnant, you know what I mean? It's like, well, is it really a baby or not? Do you want this child or not? Is it a child right now or not? Same for sin. Sin does not change. If you sin, you are sinning. There is no such thing as a white lie and a black lie.
Right.
The whole idea is that we have to realize what we're doing at that time by the word, because the word is what teaches us the truth. It sheds light on those dark areas of our life. And then we have to make a decision whether are we going to follow it or not, whether it's convenient for us or not. And that's the challenge. And that is how we have to start training ourselves, because it's really not easy, brother. We all go through these things.
Exactly. And this is the challenge that we are placed with for the rest of our lives, that we are going to struggle with these things. But at the end of the day, there has to be one head, one master, one person that we obey. Now, we can be tricked, we can be fooled, we can be weak, but at the end of the day, we have to reconcile ourselves to the master. And when we reconcile ourselves to the master, we're supposed to tighten up and say, listen, you know, I might have done this or I accidentally did this, but at the end of the day, I realize this and this is not right. So I'm going to judge myself. We are not in a judgment period. We're in grace. We have the grace to judge our own selves because those are the only people that we're equipped and we have enough, can seek diligently enough in a manner to judge is ourselves because we know our true intentions. So we start with judging ourselves to make sure that we are doing what we need to do and not judge others. Judging others is placing judgment on others when they're under the same grace period that we are. So who are we to take away the grace period from somebody else when it wasn't us that enacted a grace period? Yahweh enacted a grace period through his son. So we utilize that grace period to judge ourselves, to say, no, constantly in every decision we make, who do I serve? Do I serve Yah or do I serve the adversary? And if you serve Yah, you constantly fixing your situation, constantly getting back on the right side of the hedge so that you can utilize that grace period. But in that process, it's easy and it's easier to not look at yourself and to look at others and try to place judgment on others. Rebuke your brother and sister, but save your judgment for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
The other plus that goes on with that, my brother, is that when you mentioned earlier, you know, that the judgment seems to be extended because it's not such immediate as it was back in the day.
Right.
You know, and that's what people doesn't get. We all didn't see or understand at the time that just because you think you got away with something, Yahweh don't sleep. He sees all. And if you don't come underneath him, especially as children who made a commitment, a commandment, you know, made a commitment to follow him, you know, don't look at yourself and say, you know what, I did wrong. Even if you got grace a day, 2 days, a week later, I did wrong. I need to repent for that. I need to change my ways because, you know, Yahweh sent his son to give us that extra chance because it could have been like it was back in the day. You made a mistake, Holy Spirit found you out, showed you up, and you died, you know? You know, when he told his prophet, you know, that person did wrong, get him out the camp. He needs to die, or she needs to die, whatever the case may be. But today, and we've talked about this a couple of times before, it's like we have a little rope tied to us. You know, you're going to run, till that rope snaps. You know, when it snaps, you're going to get slammed back. That means that might be your judgment day then. So why don't we get in the practice of watching what we say, watch what we think. When we make mistakes, learn how to hit the knees, repent, and to change. Some things are a little harder than others. We understand that. But some things you might find that easy once you repent. You know, maybe that chain won't hold on to you anymore. And then you can finally get to the ones that you're dealing with that's more solidified on your present self, you know, than the other ones. And Yahweh can pray to Yahweh to help work on those. I mean, so it's a process. You know, it's like I said, it's a walk. But we have to be diligent in what we're doing in our lives, you know, if we're going to change.
Right. Most definitely. And Shabbat Shalom, Sister Yashika, she's praying, you know, for a hedge of protection. You know, we'll praise Yah. You know, it's a blessing to even know who to pray to for protection. You know, not looking to the government to protect you or looking for some carnal person that makes mistakes to protect you from spiritual things. You know, and Shabbat Shalom, Brother Lucas Cool. Good to see you. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother David Mitchell. Good to see you as well. And Shabbat Shalom, Sister Aquanette Thompson. Good to see you as well. Go ahead, brother.
Romans chapter 6 and verse 17. But Elohim be thanked that you were the servants of sin, but you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you. Being then made free from sin, you became the servants of righteousness. I speak after the manner of men because of the infirmity of your flesh. For as you have yielded your members servants to uncleanness and to iniquity, unto iniquity, even so now yield your members servants to righteousness unto holiness. For when you were the servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. What fruit had you then in those things whereof you are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. But now, being free from sin and become servants to Elohim, you have your fruit unto holiness, and the end everlasting life. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of Elohim is eternal life through Yahshua Mashiach, our master.
All right. So we have literally a get out of lake of fire free card. But we got to utilize that card. We got to show that this is what we want. We can't expect that as soon as we land on the mark that says go to jail, that the card automatically comes in. Now you got to give the card. You got to show them, yeah, this is what I want. And we understand that in a game to do that. It's the same thing here. We gotta say, nah, I want this protection. I want him to cleanse me of my sin. And to do that, you have to show him that this is what you want by walking the same path that he walked. So let's move on. Let's go to Bamidbar, chapter 35. Bamidbar, which is Numbers, chapter 35. And you're going to see how Yah, in his commandments, early in his Torah, he's setting up commandments that are serving as a carnal protection for us. But if we follow that rule and study and understand the law, we can understand the spiritual context of what he's saying with these protection that he's given us in these cities of refuge. He's letting us know, how man is going to react in a certain situation when he's allowing himself to be a servant of the flesh. And then he's saying, all right, well, if you get yourself in this situation, this is how you can stay safe. This is how you can stay under the hedge of protection of the Most High. But if you step outside of that hedge, that's on you. That blood is on your hands because you knew there was somebody that's looking to destroy you. You have been prepared, and he's looking to destroy you not because you innocent, because you did something. Whether it was intentional or accidental, until judgment time, you did something that has caused an adversary to come and want to kill you. If you want to be protected of the Most High, then you have to follow his commandments, period. And it's just delaying the judgment. You're still going to have to deal with the judgment of the aspect to decide whether you are, guilty or not guilty. But in the interim, you've already done some kind of transgression. Stay in the protection. So we're going to start Numbers 35 Bamidbar, chapter 35, and we're going to read verses 9 through 34 and look at these cities of refuge. And Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tiffany Levon. Good to see you, sister.
And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, When you become over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee there, which kills any person at unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not, until he stand before the congregation in judgment. And of these cities, which you shall give, 6 cities shall you have for refuge. You shall give 3 cities on this side Jordan, and 3 cities shall you give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge both for the children of Yasharal and for the stranger and for the sojourner among them, that everyone that kills any person unawares may flee there.
So Yahweh is setting up a safe house for those that have accidentally done something which is going to bring death to them, which is almost certainly going to bring death to them. And this is not only for the children of Yasharal, this is for the stranger and the sojourner. So that means this hedge of protection, the nations can get under this hedge of protection if they choose, but they're not going to get under that hedge of protection any different way than we are. You're going to have to keep these commandments. You're going to have to follow what Yahweh says to do when you fall in a situation. Go ahead.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
And if he smite him with an instrument of iron so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with an hand, weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meets him, he shall slay him. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying of wait that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meets him. But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without laying of wait, or with any stone wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge, whither he was fled, and he shall abide in it unto the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil.
So you have to stay inside this hedge of protection, the protection of Yahweh, where anybody who fears Yahweh cannot go in there and deal with you in this situation. So this is the hedge of protection, which is these laws, these commandments, these instructions that the Most High gives us. We have already committed murder because the wages of sin is death. So we've already murdered ourselves with our own actions. And now he's saying, step inside this hedge of protection and stay here until the next high priest comes in office. We are waiting on the next high priest to come in office, which will be Yahshua HaMashiach. We waiting on him to come. So until he comes, we have to stay under the hedge of protection of these laws and these commandments. And when he comes, he's going to set us straight and tell us what we need to do to fix our situation. Go ahead.
Verse 26. But if the slayer shall at any time come without the border of the city of his refuge where he was fled, and the revenger of blood find him without the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kill the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood.
So if you step outside the hedge of protection, which is these commandments, this law, this righteousness of the word, and you go outside and the adversary destroy you, that blood is on your own hands. That's what he do. He a revenger of blood. So he's like, Yah said, I create good and I create evil. I'm the author of all these things. But I can stop evil if I want to, or I can allow it to do what it do, because I said to all my children, stay in this protection, which is the righteousness of this word, the narrow path. Stay on this and you're fine. If he chose to go out there and do that, especially after we went out to try to get him, then that's on him. Go ahead.
He shall not be guilty of blood, because he should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession. So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
So until the next high priest comes, we have to stay in these commandments to navigate and be safe in this captivity that we're in until the new high priest, Yahshua HaMashiach, returns, and then we will be put back into our own dwellings, in our own possessions. We outside of our own possessions. We in the city of refuge. We the safest place we can be, inside the hedge of protection of Most High's laws. When Yahshua comes back, we'll be granted back into our land and we'll be able to deal. But if we step outside of these commandments and do whatever we want to do and we get slayed, that's on our own hands. Go ahead.
Verse 29. So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Whoso kills any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer which is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. And you shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the high priest. You shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood, it defiles the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not therefore the land which you shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Yasharal.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to 1 Kepha chapter 5. 1 Peter chapter 5. So we understand this concept. The revenger is waiting. He is waiting He's waiting on the outside of the hedge because he can't get inside the hedge. There's nobody more powerful than the Most High. You cannot penetrate that hedge. Nobody, I don't care who it is, cannot. Even the angels obey him. The adversary obeys him. So this is our safe house. So now we got to understand what this environment is. It's not a particular land per se that, we go to Israel, we all safe, everything is good. But if we step outside of Israel, we dead. No, this is a spiritual hedge of protection. It's our actions, our deeds, how we deal with the Most High. How we deal with the Most High is how we deal with the people around us. That's how you deal with the Most High. Because the Most High is a spirit, but his children are here on this earth, and he is the creator of everything on this earth. And this is how we offend or we bless the Most High or glorify him, is how we deal with the people around us. 1 Kepha chapter 5.
First Kepha, Peter, chapter 5, and verse 1. The elders which are among you I exhort, whom am also an elder, and a witness of the sufferings of Mashiach, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of Elohim which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind. Neither as being masters over Yahweh's heritage, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown of glory that fades not away. Likewise, you younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For Elohim resists the proud, and give grace to the humble.
So that is another secret. He gives grace to the humble, but he resists the proud. And it's saying, respect the order. Elders, should receive respect from the younger, right? But at the same time, elders, don't lord yourselves as masters over the young, because it's telling you to submit yourselves to one another. So all that hierarchy stuff, other than the natural order that the Most High presented, nobody should be lording themselves over anybody. And at the end of the day, the key and the secret here is to keep yourself humble. Because in the grace period, you want as much grace as possible to buy you as much time and ability to get yourself right with the Most High so that you don't accidentally step outside the hedge. It's easy when you have a gate in a house with a door. You can say, I'm just going to stay in the house. I know they're looking to kill me outside. But this hedge of protection is literally a invisible gate that's around you that you can't see. The only guide you have is these instructions to tell you, okay, this is how you know you're stepping outside of the hedge. So we're going to make mistakes. Like the elder was saying earlier, the spirit is strong, but the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So we're going to make mistakes. No man has the power to retain the spirit at all times. So you're going to need grace in this period. So he's telling you, here's how you receive more grace in this grace period. Humble yourself. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walks about seeking whom he may devour.
All right, so the adversary is a roaring lion walking about seeking whom he may devour. That is the avenger. That's the one that wants your blood, and he has access to kill you because you have already, the law is already put in place. The wage of sin is death. So you already gave him the authority to kill you. The only thing that is stopping him from killing you is the Most High. The only thing that is stopping him from getting to you is why you know that the Most High is your protection. Stay inside this hedge. Trust these commandments. Envision it like this city of refuge, that you are the slayer, and this roaring adversary is looking to devour you. If you view it that serious and know that it's just a matter of time before he kill you, then that will give you enough fear to say, all right, let me pay more attention to these commandments. Let me involve it more in my life so that I can truly learn how to walk in this hedge and teach others how to be protected, especially the priests, to teach other priests how to be coverings for their families. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 9, whom resists steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. But the Elohim of all grace, who has called us unto his eternal glory by Mashiach Yahshua, after that you have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle you. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. By Sylvanus, a faithful brother unto you, I suppose I have written briefly, exhorting and testifying that this is the true grace of Elohim wherein you stand. The assembly that is at Babylon, elected together with you, salute you, and so does Marcus, my son. Greet you one another with a kiss of charity. Peace be with you all that are in Mashiach Yahshua. Amen.
All right, amen. So we know what the situation is. We're being warned. Listen, that adversary is waiting for you. He's a roaring lion looking whom he may devour. So you can decide, I'm going to roll the dice and hope that that avenger is not sitting right outside the gate without waiting on us. And you might be able to go 1 or 2 times. And, you know, and this is why the Most High chastens us. Because if we go 1 or 2 times and we look right and we don't see no avenger and we don't get killed, we thinking it's all good. So he's like, no, I'm going to chasten you because I love you. I know it's just a matter of time before you go out and avenger is there waiting on you. Let's move on. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 22. 2 Samuel chapter 22. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Robert McCall. Good to see you. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Matthew McKinney. Good to see you as well, brother. Praise Yah. Yeah, what a feeling it is to be new in this truth, to have an opportunity to seek your own salvation with fear and trembling, with actual instructions and producible results. It's a blessing. You know, no matter how down you get on yourself in this word, if you have the opportunity and know where to seek guidance and know how to correct yourself in a situation, you already light years ahead of many of our ancestors who were just going by what they were told by other individuals. So it's a wonderful feeling knowing that you have some control in this life by your own actions. And if you're not receiving the results that you're looking for, you know where to go look and try to seek and find. It's like they say, what if you know that a treasure is in a field, then you sell everything you have and you buy the field. Because you know if you search starting from the right all the way to the left, eventually you're going to find it. So this is what we do. We got to sell everything that we knew before and say, we're going to buy this field. We're going to buy this field of YAH, and we're going to make sure that we own what we can afford, and we're going to find that treasure. 2 Samuel chapter 22, and let's start this at verse 1.
And Dawid spoke unto Yahweh the words of this song in the day that Yahweh had delivered him out of the hand of all his enemies and out of the hand of Saul. And he said, Yahweh is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. The Elohim of my rock, in him will I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower and my refuge, my Savior. You save me from violence. I will call on Yahweh who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies.
And that's the difference between a servant of Yah and a servant of self. Servant of Yah, when he is delivered and takes the big adversary down, he doesn't sit there and talk, man, I'm a bad man. Oh, I'm great. I'm the greatest. Oh, anybody. Oh, man, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Here come me. Nobody can mess with me. I'm the greatest. There'll never be another. And they don't do that. They turn around and say, listen, Yah is my fortress, my rock. He's my deliverer. He is the greatest. You need to learn about him so you can be great, like the Most High has allowed me to be great through his spirit. So this is the difference. So we have to learn this. And once you go through these type of tribulations and you survive these type of battles, you realize clearly this is not me. Clearly I didn't do this. Clearly the Most High is my deliverer, is my salvation. So let me share that with people because somebody shared it with me and now I know. So let me share that with you. Go ahead.
Verse 5. When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of evil men made me afraid. The sorrows of the grave compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon Yahweh and cried to my Elohim, and he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations of heaven moved and shook because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub and did fly, and was seen upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness pavilions round about him, dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Through the brightness before him were coals of fire kindled. Yahweh thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered his voice, and he sent out arrows and scattered them, lightning and discomfited them. And the channels of the sea appeared, and foundations of the world were discovered at the rebuking of Yahweh, at the blast of the breath of his nostrils. He sent from above, he took me, he drew me out of many waters.
He drew him out of many waters. This is symbolic of your immersion. Go ahead.
He delivered me from my strong enemy, and from them that hated me, for they were too strong for me. They prevented me in the day of my calamity, but Yahweh was my stay. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. Yahweh rewarded me according to my righteousness. According to the cleanness of my hands has he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of Yahweh, and have not wickedly departed from my Elohim. For all his judgments were before me, and as for his statutes, I did not depart from them. I was also upright before him, and have kept myself from mine iniquity. Therefore Yahweh has recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness in his eyesight. With the merciful, you will show yourself merciful, and with the upright man, you will show yourself upright. With the pure, you will show yourself pure, and with the froward will you show yourself unsavory.
So you have power, and how the Most High deals with you. How you present yourself to the Most High is how he's going to present himself to you. So you keep wondering why all this wickedness keeps happening to us. Was because we keep presenting ourselves wicked, froward unto the Most High. So when you recompense your own ways on yourself, and when you repent from your ways and get yourself back in right with the Most High, where you are now clean in his eyes, then now he can deal with you in that manner. This doesn't mean that you're not going to have adversaries coming against you. You hear King David right here. He's talking about how clean he was and how he kept the Most High's ways and kept the statutes and judgments in front of him. But yet he's still going through tribulation. But none of those things are touching him. None of those things are touching him. Let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Which is what? Koheleth?
Yep.
Koheleth chapter 10.
Remember that one, Aki. I just knew because I heard it. I'm like, yeah, that's that.
That's it. That's it.
And sir,
That's the one we never.
Yeah.
That's the one we never use.
Yeah.
We hardly say that one. Yep, that sounds about right.
That's it.
It's not Shofatim, so it must be. Ecclesiastes chapter 10. So Dawid understands when you are a soldier and you go to war and you are taught how to war. If you read further in there, he says, you taught my fingers to fight. When you have been taught how to do that and you're being placed in that fight constantly and you're utilizing those same techniques that your instructor has taught you, your master has taught you, and it works, and you're devouring enemies. No matter who comes around you, they can't touch you. You trust this now. Now you know, okay, I'm good. As long as I follow these techniques, I'm going to be good. This is how we have to be skilled in life with our ways as the ambassadors of the Most High. We supposed to, no matter what enemy we come against, no matter what demon, what adversary comes against us, we know, trust these techniques and we are going to be covered. And then other people will now look to you to say, well, can you show me how to do this? Because I'm having these same attacks, but it's working for you, not because you're telling me this, because I'm watching it in your life, because I'm seeing you being attacked by the same thing I'm being attacked, but it's not touching you. And I don't see you any stronger than me, but there's something different you're doing. What is that thing? And Yah has to have his servants that can speak this and say, listen, I've been in this problem. I've gone through this before. I've been in the pain that you've been in. And I went through it, and I had the same disbelief you had. But when the Most High opened my eyes and it allowed me to see a way out of this thing, where I opened my eyes just enough to see where the light coming from, I started to slowly head that direction, and eventually I walked into the light. And now somebody will believe you because they like, wow, you understand what I'm going through. You're sympathetic and empathetic. You can feel it, and it's working for you. So let me give it a try, because when you hit the bottom, ain't nowhere else to go but up.
Ecclesiastes, Koheleth, chapter 10 and verse 1. Dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savor. So does a little folly to him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor. A wise man's heart is at his right hand, but a fool's heart is at his left.
Read verse 1 again.
Dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savor. So does a little folly him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor.
So think about that. If you are in front of the people in some kind of way, or you are representing a nation of people, the children of Yasharal, we've already been chose to be the person with great honor and great wisdom, because we received that from the Most High directly. And that's all well and nice that you have all this stuff, but just a little bit of folly is like the stinking savor of a dead body with flies. So just because you see other individuals that are maybe not known for wisdom and honor, and they doing all these things way worse than you, and you're like, no, that's death. That's stinking savor. But then you doing a little bit of folly, not a lot, just a little bit. But to the Most High, that's the same thing as the brother out there, because you know better, you equipped. So we have to keep that in mind, and that's the covenant you take when you say, I want to go after wisdom, and I want to receive honor of the Most High. Then you got to make that sacrifice and say, listen, that means every little bit of folly that is in me, I have to work on that to get rid of it, because it's multiplied in me. We want the same blessing that we can say in 2 Samuel chapter 22. Oh, Yahweh is my savior, my strength. Can't nobody mess with me because Yahweh likes my ways. We want to say that. We want that kind of hedge of protection, but then we don't want to go through what you have to go through to receive that type of protection, which means all your folly is going to be extended. It's like Yahweh got a huge magnifying glass on you, and every little imperfection you do is on blast, full blast. Well, that's how you receive that hedge of protection that Dawid had. Because what Dawid had to go through is extraordinary. We ain't going through nothing compared to what Dawid had to go through. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Yea, also, when he that is a fool walks by the way, his wisdom fails him, and he says to everyone that he is a fool. If the spirit of the ruler rise up against you, leave not your place, for yielding pacifies great offenses.
Go ahead, brother.
I got a question for verse 2. I just want to make sure I'm interpreting this like in a sound way. But when it says a fool's heart is at his right hand, a wise man's heart is at his right hand, and a fool's heart is at his left. Is that when they say right? Because I know that like they say that a lot of the scriptures, like he's sitting at the right hand of the Father, and that implies like closeness or something like.
Right.
Like you'd be like my right hand man or something like that. So that and the left would imply, I guess, at a distance or
Right. So when you look at the most carnal way that I can explain it, when people shake hands, what hand do you always shake hands with?
Usually, right.
All right. So why would you always shake hand with your right? Carnally.
It's the one you're used to. Usually.
And what huge and highly unclean thing do people typically do with their left hands? When they use the bathroom, right. You use your left hand.
I'm left-handed, so everything's opposite. I use this hand to shake.
Okay, go like this next time you say hello to me. Give you a pound up. Beat your chest, shoot me a peace sign. But typically, the toilet paper is usually on the left because the standard is that you use your left hand. So it's kind of representing uncleanness. The right hand is doing the right way, just like he said, I'm going to separate the sheep on the right and the goats on the left. It's not necessarily a right and left thing, but it's symbolic of on the right side, the right path, the narrow path versus the other path. So a wise man's heart is always towards the right, where towards the east, where YAH is, where his eyes are. And the fool is on the left, which is the opposite direction of the right way. Jonathan, you want to expound on that at all? Or Elder, you got something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. You were talking about the symbolism, and if I remember correctly, there's a group of people, a nation, that if they believe they shake with the left hand, it's an insult because the left hand was used to go to the toilet with, to wipe yourself. So they use their right hand to shake with. But, dealing with some people, they go a little too far with symbolism, just like the Jewish people in the scripture was talking about, put stuff on your eyes and write the scripture on your hand and so forth. And you see them with the little cover on top of their head, a little box on their head, supposed to keep the commandments, on their head and so forth, as well as, we're dealing with collapse in cities and also they got the little box on their hand and so forth, so they're dealing with this symbolism, not realizing that it was given to us to start to remember so you can plant that in your heart so your ways can become right before Yahweh. Not just the symbolism, it was just a way to teach you the letter of the law so you can understand the spirit of the law. But people get so twisted into that they think that is the righteousness because they're acting out this symbolism, not realizing that, we have to, as Yeshua said, our righteousness have to exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees if we want to have a chance to enter the kingdom, because they already know the law. And they sit in Moshe's seat. And they wear the outfit. They look the part. They speak the part. But in their heart, they do not act out the part. So it's not, the scripture is really not in their heart. So we can understand the symbolism is to get us to be learned how to be trained. But we also should take that training further and understand the spiritual side of it so we can walk that path. So I'm glad, you brought those points out, bro.
Right. And that's, and that's not just in this situation or in this verse, but this is all of these things. He's trying to explain spiritual things to carnal people. So to do that, he's got to use carnal things that we would understand based on the traditions of our culture at this time. So, it was right-handed, just like Benjamin was the opposite. They were left-handed. So this was weird, even in combat. That's weird when you go against somebody that's putting their left hand forward. Typically in an Eastern culture, it's right-handed. You put your right hand forward. They tell you put your strong foot forward, your strong arm forward. But then you look here way on the west side, they're teaching that you right-handed, but you putting your left hand forward. Well, if something is flying at you, the first thing you're going to do is put your strong hand forward to block whatever's coming at you. You're not going to put your weak hand, the one you got less dexterity with, to try to be the one chance at saving you. So it's the opposite. So what he's saying here is the opposite of right hand. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceeds from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place. I have seen servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon the earth.
And that right there is when you see that overseer, which is a servant on a horse. And then you see the princes, which are the mighty ones of Elohim, the heads, the leaders, walking as servants upon the earth. That's the judgment that happened to us. And this is because we are putting this fool's heart
keeping everything on the left side instead of doing the right thing. We want to do the opposite. And there's only one spirit that does the opposite, which is adverse, the spirit of the adversary. Go ahead.
Verse 6, folly is set in
Eight.
great dignity. Okay, verse 8. He that digs a pit shall fall into it, and whoso breaks a hedge, a serpent shall bite him.
So whoso breaks a hedge, a serpent shall bite him. It's just a matter of time. Because again, we understand with Eve, she broke out of the hedge of protection when she disobeyed her husband. Her husband told her, this is what YAH said. YAH said, don't eat of this fruit. So she steps outside of the hedge. And when she went outside the hedge, the husband was supposed to be there as the covering. But instead, what did he do? He said, oh man, she didn't die. So he went and did the same thing. So the same concept was instituted from that point and is all the way into now. And we're still dealing with that. Let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3. And let's take a look at that same situation. Step outside the hedge and a serpent's going to bite you. And this is exactly what happened here in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 3. If we knew that there's a snake hole, a snake pit, and we safe as long as we don't stick our hand in the snake pit, why would we do that? You put your hand in there, you trying to get bit. So it's the same thing with this walk. If we know that we do things that YAH say is going to produce death in our lives, how can we expect any different outcome? But the reason we expect a different outcome is like what the elder said earlier in his comment as well. Because judgment is not swift, wickedness abounds. Because we're not getting bit right away that we put our hands in that snake hole, or we're not getting bit by the serpent as soon as we break through that hedge, we continually do that. And this is why he doesn't do us a favor by allowing us not to be chastened by doing the things that are offending him. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 3. And let's start this at verse 1.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, has Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Now, he didn't come to Adam with that, because Adam was there. Adam heard it directly. So he knows, nah, you ain't finna fool me with this foolishness. Adam was fooled with, well, maybe what the Most High said is not really true, because he saw the woman was still alive. But he wasn't fooled on whether or not something was commanded or not. The woman is hearing this through her husband, so she can be more easily fooled. That's what made her a weaker vessel, because she wasn't there. She wasn't even in the garden the same time Adam came in. She came in later. So Adam was already walking with the Most High longer than Eve was, because he was created first. So this is why the adversary is attacking that. Now, this is talking about a woman here, but remember, we are married unto the Most High. We are married unto Yahweh. So we the woman in this situation. So when we viewing this right here, don't always view it as this woman. View us as the woman. So we are the same way. We are hearing from somebody else what Yahweh said. So we can't allow the serpent to come in here and convince us that what Yahweh said didn't happen. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die.
And that should have been end of conversation right there. Boom. Did Yahweh say this? Yeah, he did. This is the commandment. End of discussion. If his response or that other spirit's response isn't like, praise Yah, halal Yah, that's the commandment. That's how we keep it. And the question isn't, well, how do I stay away from that tree? What are better ways for me not to accidentally mistake that tree? If that ain't that conversation, then that's the spirit of the adversary trying to sift you. Go ahead.
Verse 4, and the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die.
So you know what spirit you dealing with immediately. If you are told point blank, Yah said, stay in my hedge of protection, keep this commandment, and somebody tells you, no, you don't got to keep the commandment. Yahshua told us that's the least in the kingdom of heaven. So why would you want to talk to somebody or take counsel from the least of kingdom in heaven? They so least, they might not even be there. Why would you take that counsel instead of taking counsel from the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, which is Yah? Go ahead.
Verse 5, for Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, mighty ones, knowing good and evil.
So we jealous of our creator? We jealous of our creator. The creator said, listen, I created you. Here's how you live forever. Here's how everything is good. That's not enough for us. We need to be on his level. We can't humble ourselves. So we got to seek after the things that would make us more like on the level of the Most High. And that is the direct spirit of the adversary, because Satan's seat is here on earth. His seat ain't in heaven, but that ain't enough for him. He was the covering angel. He was supposed to protect this word. He was supposed to protect this word and keep it safe. But instead, he said, nah, this is not enough for me. I want to be like the Most High. What is it? Isaiah, 13 or something like that?
It's in there.
I want to ascend into the heaven. I want to be like the Most High. So that same spirit, we are now inviting that spirit by saying, Yah say do this, but I want to be like the Most High. And if I want to be like the Most High, then I will listen to any adverse spirit.
You know, in those verses right there, it just goes to show how detrimental it is when we step out of the hedge. Mm-hmm. You know, idolatries and disobedience of the commandments. Like right here, what the enemy did was appeal to subtle, covetous desires that Eve had. She had a desire to know wisdom and knowledge and things of that nature. Even what the enemy, how the enemy presented himself, he probably presented himself in like a glorious light, or presented himself as a serpent because it had wings, or whatever it was that was able to entice. So when Yah says, thou shalt not covet anything that is your neighbor's, you know, it pretty much means be satisfied with what you have. Wait on me to bless you with more. But if you, you know, have these idolatries in your heart where, you know, you covet beauty or you covet riches or anything like that, the enemy can use those things as footholds and maneuver you. So if you be like, hey, you know, you could be a little wise, you know, if you transgress this commandment,
right?
That's the leash around your neck. Or you say, you know, you could be really lucrative. If, you know, you sing this type of song and you show this amount of flesh, or you wear this cut top, or if you just make the shirt see-through, you know, and those things are able to pull you out of that hedge because you have subtle lusts. With covetous desires are pretty much lust, because you have subtle lust. So if you don't work on dealing with the bits of idolatry, because any type of disobedience you have toward the commandments is idolatry. Right. It's in worship to another Elohim. It's in worship to another power. Right. Because those principles belong to another power.
Whoever you yield yourself to, that's who you obey. That's who you serve.
So that's your master. So all right, you want to be a child of Baal. You're subtly worshiping material things of the world, the creation. Then the enemy can use that and deceive you and lead you in directions that are not good. You could come to someone and be like, hey man, you know, if you wear this certain thing, all the women are going to be after you. You know, if you speak in this subtle manner, all the women. So when even men, if they participate in fornication for an extended period of time, their behaviors change. Aki. Just the same way how people who participate in homosexuality for a certain period of time, even when they decide they're going to be straight, their behaviors, the subtleties don't leave because you still, you got the limp hand, you got the, so even men, you participate in all this fornication for a certain period of time, even your behaviors are still in a seductive manner. Like, why are you talking to this married person, this married woman in this manner? Like, you trying to seduce her? So these things, these subtle lusts that we have to address them and make sure that we are approaching Yah with a pure heart, with the innocent mind, so that we don't come to him. He's looking at us like, we think we're pure, but he's looking at us like, you have all these breaches in the hedge that should be around you because you haven't kept these walls up. You keep leaving room to do this, and you keep leaving room to do that, and all these excuses as to why you shouldn't be circumspect. And just subtly how she was like, maybe I can be wise, caused the maximum sin for all of humanity. So we do have to pay attention and make sure that we stay within that hedge and don't try to pull a little bit of it down, because that serpent will come through and try to get a foothold on you. Right.
At the end of the day, what is your ransom for sin? What is going to cause you to break through that hedge, knowing you're going to get bit? Because it says, he who breaks through a hedge, a serpent will bite him. If you know this, Yah's already produced this. We started the whole book with that same concept. What is your ransom? what is going to pay? What is the price? They say everybody got a price. What is your price for you to give up your salvation? With Esau, it was a pottage, some red pottage, and he gave that up like it was nothing. That's the spirit of Esau. He doesn't value the things of the spirit. He doesn't value the inheritance. He wants the carnal things that are here now in front of him. So what is your ransom for sin? And it's going to be some kind of fleshly action, whether it's lust, some kind of idolatry, whether it's lust, whether it's anger, whether it's ambition, whether it's sensuality in any form or fashion, through music, through film, through you know what I'm saying, sex, whatever it is, what is worth it enough to you? And you are fooling yourself. You have been fooled if you think that thing is worth giving up your eternal life with pleasure with the Most High.
You know, even just a while ago, I was meditating on that right hand, left hand thing, and just as you know, regular normal life, a lot of people are more, you know, right-handed. So if scripturally the norm was right-handed, and like you mentioned, when someone was left-handed, it showed like they had excessive skill, whether it was how they aimed or whatever. But the anomaly was the fact that they were good with their left hand, when most of humanity was okay with their right hand. So imagine this, you know, everything you're doing it with your right hand, you're doing right hand. So all the important things you have in your right hand, and whatever you don't really need like that, you kind of just put it in your left. You know, you know, you have the sword in the right hand, you have the shield in your left. You can't really attack with the shield. So anything that doesn't have any functional use, you're gonna put it over to the less dominant hand. You know. So it goes to show that it says the wise man puts his heart in his right hand. And when you look at these scriptures, you realize that a lot of the things that and precepts that YAH has set in place is to protect our heart and to us to learn how to show love for ourselves, for Yahweh, and love for our neighbors and things of that nature. So when we do things, we should be motivated by how much peace can this allow for us? How much love would I be able to show doing this? Who's gonna benefit from this? And not only myself, you know, you're not always putting yourself. So these loving things motivate you, whereas the fool's like, he's not motivated by the love.
He's messing up. He can't even do a good job. You trying to write all the commandments down with your left hand.
And not only that, the fact is that the stuff that matter to him, because the heart mattered to the wise man, he's like, you know, I have to do this for love. Let me be patient with my mother. That's my mother. You know, let me respond to her with kindness, even though she's upsetting me. Right. Let me, you know, respond kindly to my mother, because it says honor thy mother and father. Right. Having the heart in the right hand is cumbersome to the fool. He like, man, I got to do all this other stuff. Yeah. He's looking to the money. He's looking to the fleshly aspect.
That's what he putting on his right hand.
That's what so his heart ends up in his left hand. He ain't really paying attention to that. So the fornications come out. He's not even looking like, man, I should protect this. Nah, that's not the heart. Not even in his right hand like that. Right. Or, oh, my kids are at home. You know, let me stay and watch them. Nah, it's as hard as we need to make this money. Instead, you know, maybe I could leave the 3 and the 2 and 1 year old home by themselves. Right. You know, so they don't make the decisions properly, and they don't make the decisions from a righteous feeling, loving standpoint. And remember that scripture that we pointed out a while ago, the tender mercies of the wicked are still cruel. Why? Because they got the heart in the away from them. It's not in their right hand to make tender decisions. It's in a place where only the callousness comes out. Fleshly and real worldly. Right. Go ahead, brother. I'll pick back up at verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman.
Excuse me. I want to say something quick again.
Go ahead, brother.
That verse that you know, brothers are talking about right now, dealing with how stuff to Hassan was our adversary, you know, dealing with the woman, because I didn't speak directly to her, but spoke to her covering, you know. And why he, you know, didn't go to the covering, but he spoke to her to find that toehold, you know, so he can, I say, infect, you know, its weak, you know, and doubt, you know, and when we deal with that, you know, I mean, Yeshua was trying to, you know, help us in that area, you know, in John, when he's talking about, you know, when the Pharisees trying to deal with him. But and he was just trying to tell how we're supposed to handle ourselves because, you know, in our belief, you know, and you see he's talking when Yeshua was talking to the Jews at the time, Yehudim at the time was believing on him. He said, but if you continue, you know, in my word, then you are my disciples indeed, you know, and realizing that at that time, you said that if she would just stood on the word that was told to her, you know, by her husband, that would have been innocent. And if it was that the next day going, you know, trying to deceive her, you know, about that, you know, then she could say, well, look, let's go talk to my husband. Let's go talk to YAH. He's right there, you know, and maybe I got it wrong. That would have squashed it immediately, but yet the way he came at her, and how being so innocent at the time, not knowing how subtle he was, that she couldn't take him didn't realize she could not take this entity on prima facie, on face value, that she learned a hard lesson, and that led us on this course, you know, of where we are now. But Yeshua was saying, you know, you make those kind of mistakes, you know what I mean? And if you really believe in me, then, you know, you believe in my words, so then he's giving you a chance right there in his verse that, you know, you can come back to him because you really believe. But because you know he's going to make mistakes. But if you don't believe, you know, and you still want to go on your own, trust in yourself and not in his word, you're gonna rally to your flesh. Then he goes with John chapter 8, you know, John chapter 8:44. You are of your father, you know, the hostile devil, you know, and lust of your father you shall do. You know, he was the murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. And then when he speaketh, when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own. For he's a liar and the father of it. So, you know, to jump back to Genesis on that, you know what I mean, on our Darren sheet, chapter 3:4, because all of that was started in the beginning is not going to change his tactics. And he catches us so much, you know, that Yeshua is trying to give us a chance that, you know, how to do battle with the enemy and not do it long. Just deal with it immediately and walk away from it. Get away from it. So don't delve in it and dwell, because you can't play the game with the adversary. You have to follow what Yeshua gave us to do battle and then walk away from it.
Con. We're gonna have to work on getting some more microphones so that we could get better, clear audio. So bear with us. We'll go ahead and we'll get that resolved. And again, looking at Eve, just like the elder said, you know, where she messed up, you know, her covering was supposed to handle that situation. But, you know, being that this was the first man ever, you know, he wasn't a suitable covering. So with us now, we are the same way. We are the ones that have heard this word from our husband in Yeshua, our master, the head. We are the bride of the Lamb. So we have heard that from him, and we have disobeyed for him from what he has told us. And what he has given us and told us is this word, which was created directly from the Father. Now, our covering in Yeshua is not like Adam. He is perfect. He was before Adam. So now he's doing the right thing, and he bared the iniquity for us. The same way Adam should have bared the iniquity for his wife and said, nah, what are you doing? You have transgressed. Yahweh, let me clear this up. But instead, he did the same thing that his wife did, knowing when he heard that directly from the Father. So praise Yah that our covering was better than the covering that Eve had. Go ahead.
Verse 5. For Elohim does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
All right, so when she saw that there was going to be a benefit for her to transgress the Most High, she didn't become as caring of what the consequences were, because what appealed to her flesh was important enough. So that was a ransom for her sin. Go ahead.
And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahweh Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you?
So he called to the man. He didn't call to Eve. Eve was the first one to do the transgression. It didn't matter. He called on Adam because Adam knew. You the one that got the law. Just like he called to Yasharal. He could be punishing the nations right now. No, he punishing us. Because the nations heard this law through us. So we heard it directly. So we the Adam, which means man in this situation. We the man in this situation. We heard the law first. So Yah is calling to us first and say, Israel, no, I'm coming to you first. You going to be punished. Because when she ate of the fruit, her eyes weren't open. But when she gave it to her husband, they ate. Now the consequence came. Because he could have still been a covering. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, The woman who you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the woman, What is this that you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
All right, so the serpent beguiled her, and she did eat. So it's not that Yah not going to dress the woman. He going to dress the woman as well, but he going to deal with the man first. So he going to address the other nations too. They're not going to get away with it. But he going to address us first. He's going to follow the order. So we see here clearly, this is the same situation of breaking outside of your hedge, and you have now been bitten by the serpent. And when you get bit by this serpent, now you have death. Because Adam and Eve are going to die now because of this situation. So let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Job chapter 1. Job chapter 1. So now that we know this, we have the option to stay back in his hedge. They weren't aware of no hedge. All they were aware of, just do this and everything is going to be good. They didn't know about no death. They heard about it, but they didn't understand that concept. We understand the concept of death. We see death. So now we're given the remedy to that. Say, listen, stay inside this hedge and you're good. And Shabbat Shalom, Arthurine Campbell. Good to see you.
Job chapter 1 and verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Elohim and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels and 500 yoke of oxen and 500 she-donkeys and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east.
So he was blessed abundantly. He was blessed in the fruit of his womb and also the fruit of his labor and the fruit of his farm. The fruit of all that he touched was blessed to the point where he was one of the greatest men of the east. So if you're one of the greatest in the east, everybody know you got money. So he the easy target. Because everybody know you got money, everybody know you got goods, and everybody know if I steal a little bit from you, you'll be all right because you got plenty to spare. But nobody's messing with this man. They can't touch him because he's inside the hedge of the Most High. Go ahead.
And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And so it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed Elohim in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them.
So Satan got to follow these rules. He know that he got to present himself before the Most High. All males must appear. So Satan going to appear. So Satan doing wickedness, but y'all allowing him to do wickedness because y'all's like you a dishonorable vessel. That's fine. Be that vessel. We need candles to burn out. So you be the burnt out candle, or you could have been the menorah that hold the candle that survived the heat. Go ahead.
Verse 6, now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them. And Yahweh said unto Satan, where comest you? Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And Yahweh said unto Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears Elohim and eschews evil? Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, does Job fear Elohim for nothing? Has not you made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth your hand now, and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. And Yahweh said unto Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power. Only upon himself put not forth your hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of Yahweh.
All right, so he says, has not you made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. Why? Because he is a person who abhors evil and is a righteous man and has kept himself perfect with Elohim. And not only does that for himself, he tries to help his family do the same thing by trying to sanctify them and try to teach them to do the same thing. But is he, just because he walks in what Yah is considering perfection from this man, doesn't mean that he's still not a servant of the Most High. If the Most High wants to use a perfect vessel and put it in the heat to show how perfect this vessel can be, then that's what it is. It's not for us to judge the Most High. We are created for his purpose. And Job is going through all these things, so thousands of years later we can read about this and say, wow, look at this man who's perfect in Yah's eyes. And then also can say, wow, look at this man who's an Edomite. And he's walking in perfection. In a time where the majority of a lot of these camps is teaching that Esau is white man. And Esau is all going to be destroyed. And all these white people going to be destroyed. Clearly, if you read Job, you'll see that he's not a white man. And if you read the original versions of Job, at the end of 42, it tell you where he's from, Jobab. And it tell you that he was an Edomite. So Job is going through all these things, even though he's being perfect with the Most High, and it still rains on the just and it rains on the unjust. But at the end of the day, you still have to walk in righteousness when it's raining. Let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 5. YAH chapter 5. So just because you are in a hedge of protection does not mean it won't rain on you. It can still rain on you, but it will not kill you.
YAH, Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 1. Now will I sing to my well-beloved, a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. He fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine and built a tower in the midst of it and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Yehuda, judge, I pray you, between me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes?
So these wild grapes, this is poisonous. It has brought forth poison berries, where this is supposed to be high in antioxidants and great for the heart, and something that was supposed to be, offered unto the Most High, the first fruits. Instead, it's bringing forth poison. And this is what we have done. We have brought forth poison into this world. And you can look at the condition of this world, and it is our fault. Not these other nations. It's our fault. Because we were given control. We were given the responsibility for this earth and everything in it, all the way from Bereshit, from Genesis. And when we had control, we messed it up. And now the earth is bringing forth poison berries because we are the poison berries. We were supposed to be what is healthy and good for the heart to the rest of this world and the nations, but instead we poisonous. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down.
So if he created this hedge of protection about us because we were supposed to be this beautiful grape that they say in the land, the grape the size of somebody's head. These beautiful grapes, that's what we're supposed to be. That's glorious unto the Most High. But nothing but poison berries is growing. Why would you keep a hedge and protect that? That's like saying, I want these poison berries. This is what I was growing, poison berries. That's why I'm stopping anything from destroying these poison berries. No, common sense. I'm going to remove this hedge. So the hedge is removed from us. But the Most High is merciful. He said, listen, I'm going to remove the outer hedge, but I'm always going to leave this inner hedge. If you stay inside of it, which are these commandments, you stay inside of that, you're going to be all right. But I'm going to remove this outer hedge that even allowed you to go outside the commandments and you still didn't get destroyed. I'm removing that hedge. Go ahead.
And that was verse 5. Verse 6. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
Because why do I want to continue growing poisonous berries?
For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Yasharal, and the men of Yehuda his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry.
All right. Can you go ahead and switch audio here?
Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. In my ears, said Yahweh of hosts, of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without inhabitant. Yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield 1 bath, and the seed of an omer shall yield an ephah.
So we are being cursed, where we had a choice where blessed is you in the city, blessed is you in the field. Now we get in the other side. Cursed are you in the city and cursed are you in the field, where we not yielding the results that we supposed to yield. We working hard, but yet we still check the check. We can't get ahead. Everything is always, and every time we stack up some money, something happens. We are not being blessed anymore. We are being cursed. This hedge has been removed, and we are reaping exactly what we're sowing. We're sowing poison berries, where we're supposed to be sowing these beautiful grapes. This super fruit is what we're supposed to be planting. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Verse 10. Verse 11. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them. And the harp, and the viol, and the tabret, and the pipe, and wine are in their feasts, but they regard not the work of Yahweh, neither consider the operation of his hands. Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
So this is why we are in captivity, because we have no longer knowledge, and our honorable men are famished, and the multitude dried up with thirst. So this is the reason why we are in this situation. We are not going to get out of this situation any way other than through knowledge of righteousness, so we can implement wisdom, which is being skillful with this knowledge. Now, when we implement this wisdom, we are now using this wisdom, which is skillful use of this knowledge, in a way to evade evil, which is now understanding. There's the only way we are going to get back to producing a superfruit instead of poison berries, which means we have to stay inside this protection so that we are safe from the slayer who's trying to kill us from our past deeds, so that we can start producing this superfruit. All right, let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 13.
Ezekiel chapter 13 and verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Yasharal that prophesy, and say you unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts, hear you the word of Yahweh. Thus says my sovereign Yahweh, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing.
So these foolish prophets have seen nothing. It wasn't Yahweh comes to his prophets in a vision or a dream. They haven't had no vision. They didn't have no dream. But this is out of their own hearts. They prophesy to you lies. And they're still doing it today. They can call themselves prophets because they are prophesying. They're just not prophets of Yahweh. They prophesy by telling you it's okay. You ain't got to keep the commandments and it's going to end well with you. That's a prophecy. But that prophecy is the exact opposite what's in this book. And this is who led us. These prophets that tell us you ain't got to keep commandments. Prophets that's telling us it's going to be all right with you to not stay inside the hedge of protection of the Most High. Go ahead.
O Yasharal, your prophets are like the foxes in the desert. You have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Yasharal to stand in the battle in the day of Yahweh. They have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, Yahweh says, and Yahweh has not sent them, and they have made others to hope that they would confirm the word. Have you not seen a vain vision, and have you not spoken a lying divination, whereas you say Yahweh said it, albeit I have not spoken? Therefore, thus says my sovereign Yahweh, because you have spoken vanity and seen lies, therefore, behold, I am against you, says my sovereign Yahweh. And my hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity and that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Yasharal, neither shall they enter into the land of Yasharal. And you shall know that I am the sovereign Yahweh, because they have seduced my people, saying peace,
Shalom,
and there was no peace.
no shalom.
And one built up a wall, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortar. Say unto them which daub it with untempered mortar, that it shall fall. There shall be an overflowing shower, and you, O great hailstone, shall fall, and the stormy wind shall rend it.
So man tried to create his own hedge of protection by building this wall, which is supposed to protect. And we depended on these people that's supposed to protect us by teaching us the right thing and telling us the words of the Most High. But instead, they tell us the vanity of their own heart. They say, listen, I want to benefit from the people, so I'm going to tell them what they want to hear so I can receive the gift now. So they're building this wall with this untempered mortar, which is mortar that's not going to withstand or hold the heat and the pressure of when the water comes against the wall. So what's it going to do? It's just going to fall down. It looked real nice, though. It was real, it's set up real nice, and it looked like a great, and it gave us this false sense of protection. But it's just a matter of time for it to be exposed, and it's going to fall. So you have to seek a true hedge, a true protection, not one that man created. And the ones that man created are these religions. Religions, we weren't given religions. We were given instructions, and we were given a history. That's what this is. This is not a religion. Let's stop right there. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 7. And we're going to read verses 1 through 20. Jeremiah chapter 7. And we're going to read verses 1 through 20. So we can't listen to these false prophets because they're prophets, because they're prophesying. They're telling you your future is going to be all right. That's prophecy. We're not prophesying because we telling you what it says, period. We can't tell you what you're going to do. We don't know what you're going to do, but I can tell you what it says. But these prophets are telling you this is what the future holds for you when you do this, which is against Yahweh. And they didn't receive that in a vision or a dream. So they're giving you something different.
Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 1. the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, stand in the gate of Yahweh's house and proclaim there this word and say, hear the word of Yahweh, all you of Yehuda that enter in at these gates to worship Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to dwell in this place.
And this is what you're a prophet. When you are speaking the words of Yahweh and you're saying, thus says Yahweh of hosts, that's what makes you a prophet. They're getting this in a vision or a dream and speaking this to the people. They're not prophesying to one guy saying, hey, you're gonna do real well. You're gonna make a lot of money this year. And so you should go ahead and tithe more because it's gonna be great for you. None of the prophets spoke like that. They said, thus says Yah, hear Yasharal, all of you. Or hear you leader of Yasharal. This is what's gonna happen to your people if you don't do this. And guess what? You're gonna suffer. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Trust you not in lying words, saying, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh are these. For if you thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, if you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, if you oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other gods to your own hurt, then will I cause you to dwell in this place, in the land which I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Behold, you trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will you steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense to Baal, and walk after other gods whom you know not, and come and stand before me in this house which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? Is this house, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your eyes? Behold, even I have seen it, says Yahweh. But go you now unto my place, which is in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Yasharal. And now, because you have done all these works, says Yahweh, and I speak unto you, rising up early and speaking, but you heard not, and I called you, but you answered not. Therefore will I do unto this house which is called by my name, wherein you trust, and unto the place which I gave to you and your fathers, as I have done to Shiloh. And I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Therefore pray not you for this people, neither lift up a cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear. See you not what they do in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that it may provoke me to anger.
And we just talked about this a new month that just passed. They're making cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Those are those cupcakes. Those are those little round cakes because the Queen of Heaven is the moon god. The King of Heaven they call the sun god Ra, which in Hebrew means evil. So it's evil to take the sun, which is a servant of the Most High, and make that your Most High. Make that your Elohim. That's evil. Not the sun, that the sun is evil. The sun gives light, give us life. Melanin is what gives us our strength. So, no, that's not what that's saying. But they're making these cakes to the queens of heaven. So they've been doing this moon worship, new moon worship. They've been doing this way back in Jeremiah's time. Then turn around and call themselves servants of Yah. The same thing that people are doing now. Now, many people are doing it now in their ignorance, but our forefathers back then knew what they were doing. So it's not the same with us, because at one time we did the same thing. We thought that that was righteousness. But we got to do the research. It's right here. This ain't no new thing under the sun. Go ahead.
Verse 19, do they provoke me to anger, says Yahweh? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus says my sovereign Yahweh, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man and upon beast and upon the trees of the field and upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and not be quenched. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices and eat flesh. For I spoke not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people, and walk you in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you.
All right. So from the beginning, he says, listen, go ahead and put your burnt sacrifices in your sacrifices to eat flesh. Go ahead and do that, because this is what you're going to have to do. This is what's going to cover you for this time period. But this is not what I wanted. I did not want this from you. This is the remedy to be in lieu of your own death, is this animal sacrifice. But from the get-go, I spake not to your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out the land of Mizraim concerning these burnt offerings and sacrifices. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted from you was for you to obey my voice. Be obedient. That's what I wanted from the get-go. But because you weren't obedient, now you got to do these burnt offerings and these sacrifices. That's what he means by that. That's not what pleases him. What pleases is him for you to obey. He's not taking satisfaction in the death of this innocent animal. So much to the point where it said, okay, now this is not helping them at all. They're not getting the concept. So stop, put away these burnt offerings, put away the murdering this man or killing this man because he did a sin to death. This is not causing people to repent, because people are just looking at them and say, oh, he's just a wicked person, then turn around and do the same type of sins. Because I didn't get caught for it, because they can't see my sin behind closed door. So he put that away.
You know, Haki, the funny thing is that, you know, all of those sacrifices and ordinances of the temple were to stay the plague that Israel was, accumulating unto themselves. And it's like, I'm trying to stop myself from killing y'all as a whole nation.
Right.
I'm trying to stop myself from putting these punishments that you cannot bear. But it's like, you insist.
Right.
I'm putting the temple here so that I don't have to send you into captivity, because I'm a righteous Elohim. I'm not going to just bear all your iniquities. This was to appease the wrath that was supposed to fall upon you. But since y'all insist on doing what's wicked, here's some captivity. Here's more captivity. Here's oppression. Here's the things that I was trying to keep you from.
Right.
But since you insist on having it, I have a whole plate full that's going to be able to last your generation, your children's generations, and several generations after that.
Right.
Until you come into the understanding that if you want good, you have to mend your ways and change. Then we can address all the sin you've been doing by these sacrifices coming back. Right. And once you've appeased the requirements for all that sin you've done, then I can usher you into a whole nother era of righteousness, where I can teach you beyond the killing of the goat and the ram. And I can teach you precepts that are eternal and Edenic.
Exactly. And why? Because we the big brother. We the firstborn. Israel is his firstborn. If anybody that has multiple children knows, when you spank that older child, you spanking him in front of all the other kids. You're not bringing them in the quiet corner and spanking them away from everyone. You want everybody to see this is the results of this action, so that the younger ones understand this is what happens when you disobey. So this is what Yahweh is doing to our nation. He is spanking us, the older, the firstborn, in front of all the other children, so that they would learn this is what happens. Now, how stupid does it look that the oldest one is crying because he's getting spanked and can't understand why he's getting punished, but all the little children can look around and say, well, big brother, he's getting spanked because he's not listening to daddy. Why all the little kids can understand that, but big brother just, oh man, he hates me. He just hates me. God hates me. Why I can't do what the other little kids is doing? No, because you the oldest. This is why we being spanked. Brother West, can you grab that incense, please?
Verse
23.
But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people, and walk you in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, but walked in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward, not forward.
So they did not want to listen. They didn't want to be in the hedge of the protection. Just like you said. He said, listen, I'll just do these animal sacrifices and try not to do this again. But we wouldn't listen. We refused to stay in the hedge. We, instead of moving forward, we go backward. Just like in African martial arts, we are never taught to go backwards. There ain't no move to go backward. Only move is forward or side to side, where you're not losing ground. The closest thing that we have to moving forward is where we take that forward leg and we pull it a little bit further back to remove some space. Add some space. That's the word. But we're not moving backwards. That back leg is still planted in the same place that it was. So it's the same concept with sin. We can't move backward into that. We can only move forward, and to move forward is to repent from that, because you've already moved backward, setting yourself backward with that transgression. Let's stop right there. Let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to Matthew, chapter 7. And we're going to read 1 through 20 for the conclusion.
Did you say Matthew getting baptized tomorrow as well?
Yes. Yah's will.
Hallelujah. So he wasn't immersed. Well, I guess we can talk about that. I would have named my Matthew. We would have thought he was immersed already.
Right. It's just showing that he's returning, to the fact that you would rename yourself is showing that you trying to return back to your culture.
Hallelujah.
But changing your name ain't enough. Taking a dip in the water ain't enough. You're going to have to change. You're going to have to truly be that new person. Truly be that gift of Yah. You know what I'm saying? Truly be that gift of Yah which what Mattathiah means, gift of Yah. Truly be that gift of Yah by changing that person, by killing that old person and walking in the newness of life. Showing that, listen, I'm not that person. I'm this person, the person that is being influenced by the Mashiach, this word. So Matthew chapter 7. And this is the only way to stay inside this hedge of protection. So at the end of the day, if you grasp anything that we said in this class, you know that there's a roaring adversary that's looking to devour you, the devil. And the only protection is to stay in this hedge. So how do we stay in the hedge? We know it's to keep the commandments. And to keep the commandments is to walk in that narrow path. Not doing the multiple decisions that you can make. Not walking in that. Walking in the sole and singular decision, the only decision to make, which is that righteousness.
Hallelujah. Mattathiah, chapter 7 and verse 1. Judge not that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you shall be judged. And with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again.
So keep that in mind. Judgment is not when you say, listen, what you did was a transgression of the law. That's not judgment. You're supposed to do that. That's how you love somebody. You see somebody about to walk across the street without looking left and right. You say, listen, you keep doing that, you could kill yourself because a car could come and hit you. You're not going to see it. You ain't judge that person. Now, if you tell that person, listen, you're going to die. That's it. You're dead because you crossed the street without looking. That's judgment. So we don't have the right to kill somebody and place them in death and place them in the lake of fire. Who are we to do that when Yahweh said, I'm not judging anybody right now? I'm not judging anybody right now. I'm giving you grace, period. So who gave you the authority to supersede the CEO and say, no, we handing out judgment right now? And that's what we do when somebody transgress against Yahweh, and we punish them for that. And there's many ways of punishing them. You can punish them by saying you're not gonna rebuke them no more, because they're never going to listen to you. You've judged that person. You've said that person is dead. You judging somebody when somebody does something against you, and you try to punish them for that. You don't have the authority. How are you going to take judgment belongs to Yah? Vengeance belongs to Yah. How are you going to take that away from Yah? Who are you? But when you do that, you basically saying, no, this is how I want to be judged. I don't want grace, period. Judge me right now, because that's how I'm judging. That's the measure I'm meeting. So that's the measure you're going to be met with. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Why behold you the mote that is in your brother's eye, but consider not the beam that is in your own eye? Or how will you say to your brother, let me pull out the mote out of your eye, and behold, the beam is in your own eye? You hypocrite. First cast out the beam out of your own eye, and then shall you see clearly to cast out the mote out of your brother's eye. Give not that which is holy unto dogs, Neither cast you your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you.
And this is a scripture we went over yesterday with Brother Wes's brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's,
Oh, you got a chance to speak with his brother?
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Brother was saying, you know, he's seeking the Most High. Yeah, you seeking the Most High because of tribulation. But guess what? You already guaranteed to meet the Most High. If you seeking him in sincerity, you gonna meet him. You just might not like what you see. Because when you meet him, you realize the crap that you think is okay ain't okay, and it ain't gonna work well for you. So that if that's what you really want, you want to know the true truth, then you're gonna find that. But when you find that truth, what are you gonna do with it? And all of us that are in this truth now have sought him and have found him. Now it's up to us. The ball is in our court. What are we going to do now that we found him? Go ahead.
Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek.
Go ahead, Elder.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something on that verse my brother just read. When it says, give not that which is holy unto dogs. Neither cast pearls before swine. But the first, part of that verse, give not which is holy unto dogs, we got to look at that just for a second, Yeshua was blessing, people by healing them or giving them the word to bless their hearts or bless their bodies by healing their bodies and healing their hearts, strengthening their spirit, giving them, hope, so they can have stronger faith, and so they utilize that word, dog is anybody that's not the believer, under Yeshua or YAH, so, we have to look at that walk, when this woman in chapter 15, she was, a Gentile, who wanted son of David, to heal her daughter that, that misery with a demon, a possession, and so they basically stated, he said, he don't deal with no dog, you know what I mean? So prophesied, I'm not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Yeshua, so, he said it's not meat to give the children's bread and cast it to the dogs, so, but basically, what I'm trying to say is that this woman who wanted the truth because she knew that her child could be healed, she had a level of faith, and she humbled herself to receive this blessing, so when we deal with that verse in chapter 7, give not, which is holy unto dogs, is because, they're going to not respect it. They're not going to accept it correctly. They're not going to respect it, so they're going to be like, called pigs, They're going to turn and rend you because you give them pearls, you give them, the blessings of Yah, and they don't understand that. They can't really respect that. So, they're going to turn and rend you, hurt you, injure you, come about and be a traitor towards you because they don't have faith and belief that you are learning and believing in. So this woman showed that she wanted her child to be healed, and she went to the physician to heal her child, and she humbled herself deeply and took any type of level of what maybe can seem as abuse, or shunning. She said no, she put herself last so her child can come first. And this is what, a teaching that we're supposed to learn, that, we're supposed to humble ourselves to let Yahweh lift us up, to do his will, not our will, not be, like you said, trying to show and get our accolades before people. No, Yahweh said you do his will, and he will raise you up because he sees his child is trying to bring him glory. He's not trying to keep it for himself. He's doing the will of the Father as his son did. Because his son didn't keep no glory. So it's just something else I saw. I just wanted to bring out.
Right. And, he's letting you know, give not that which is holy unto dogs. And we know a dog is a lawless creature. it will turn around and eat its own vomit, eat its own feces, so forth and so on. So you can't give something holy unto something that is unclean, that is going to turn around and take something holy and defile it. And then it says, cast not your pearls, which is your jewels, before swine, an unclean creature that there's no way that you can make that creature clean. A dog, you can teach it how to do righteousness. It can be trained, but it doesn't naturally have those laws. But a pig, it don't matter what how you train that pig, it's going to be unclean animal. It's going to be a filthy animal. And it's going to turn around and eat you if you die. So that animal is going to turn around and trample you under its feet. That dog necessarily might not trample you under its feet. So it's showing you, be mindful of how you deal with things and how you deal with the holy things that are important unto the Most High. Go ahead.
Verse 8. For everyone that asks receives, and he that seeks finds, and to him that knocks it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you, whom if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will he give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Therefore, all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets.
So in verse 11, if you being evil know how to give good gifts unto your children. Now, your child might think this, 45 pistol is a great gift. It look neat. I see it on TV. Nah, that a father, any common sense father is like, nah, I can't give that to you, son. You're going to kill yourself. Mm-hmm. But when you so mean, you won't give me that 45. I seen it on TV. The hero had it. Nah, even a carnal man knows to do that. So if we being evil know how to give good gifts to our children, how much more the Father is in heaven going to give good things to us, to them that ask him. But see, these are good things. Something that might be good for you might not be good for me, could cause me to kill myself, and vice versa. So we have to trust the Father, and we got to stop always asking him for these carnal things that we think is going to be good for us. And instead, trust the Father that he's going to take care of you. And go show the Father that you are worthy of receiving good things, and you're going to get all the desires of your heart. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. Therefore, all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets.
That goes right there with judge the way you want to be judged. You don't want, you want the Most High to give you mercy. So be merciful to your brothers and sisters, which means mercy is not judging, not giving them the judgment. And that's common. That's just the basics. Go ahead.
And to you went at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leads unto life, and few there be that find it.
All right. So enter you in at the straight gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. So you got all these people going one direction. That's probably wrong. That's probably wrong. Because if it was easy to go that direction, that's the direction everybody else is going to go. But the one that requires more sacrifice, that's the one that people really don't want to go into. The one that requires you to walk a tightrope. That's the one that people don't want to go. They want to go the easy route. So understanding that if you are walking towards your salvation, you're going to have to walk the narrow path. It's very difficult. It's not going to be easy. And as it gets easier, the Most High makes it harder. Because when you bear fruit, he's going to purge you so you can bear more fruit. But we don't want to do that. We want to sit on the fruit that we have, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. So let's show the Most High that we want to be inside his hedge of protection. By doing so, by keeping these commandments, receiving the understanding, and teaching others to do the same. So that's all we're going to do today. Are there any last questions or comments before we close in prayer?
Just a comment on straight gate. Mm-hmm. The word for straight is Greek G4728, which is 4728, which is stenos, probably from the base histemi, meaning narrow, from obstacles, standing close, about straight. So I think wherever that word is used, it usually signifies like narrowest or like pressures or such and such was in dire straits. So there's definitely a element of being constricted or there being some type of trial in trying to enter it. Because basically saying the easy way is the one that's broad. Anybody could do this. This one
you can walk 10 miles in the wrong direction. You still can get through that gate.
Yeah.
But like you said, that Greek word stenos, you said?
Look, yeah, I won't be able to find it now. I'll probably go look.
But yeah.
It sounded like, looked like 4728.
G4728.
Stenos, yes.
So stenos is narrow. If it's something as narrow as a tightrope, you don't really have much room to err on either side. And why you don't have much room to err on either side? Because that adversary is a roaring lion looking to whom he may devour. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, so like, you know, having obstacles standing close about. So it basically there's a challenge concerning entering in through that straight gate. There's some constraint there. There's some trial there. There's some trouble trying to get through it. But it's, you know, if you're a wicked, lazy servant, or if you're weak of mind, you'll give up when you come across a little bit of tribulation. There's a lot of people like that in this world where they come across a little bit of trouble and they're ready to just throw in the towel.
That's it. I tried. It don't work.
and do whatever it was that, you know, they would rather do, or it usually turns out do whatever it was that their flesh finds easy to do, which is always the evil thing. And those people always justify why they're doing it this way, but we should challenge ourselves to enter in at that straight, narrow path.
Exactly. Because ultimately, you never believed to begin with. And you entered because you thought things were going to be easy. So you're just exposing what's in your heart. You only doing righteousness because you thought it was going to make life easy. It's the opposite. You do righteousness, life is going to get harder, but your decision making is easier. Because you're going to have to go through it. You're going to have to endure the same way Yahshua had endured, but your decisions is easy because it's narrow. When you have a narrow path, ain't really much decision in there. I can only walk this way because if I walk any other way, I'm going to fall. So your decision is easy. But guess what? That's difficult walking on that narrow path. It's narrow. It's hard. You slip just a little bit, you're going to fall.
And, you know, Yahshua also gave a hint on how to clear up our desire. You know, one thing they did, if we be real with the listeners for a second, you say, why go through all that trouble? Like, for what? If the easy path is there and available for me, why not take it? What am I going through this narrow path for? What am I putting myself through all these challenges for? What benefit is there for me? Right. So Yahshua appealed to that aspect, that lust where we want to know, how does this benefit me? So he pretty much said, seek you first the kingdom of YAH. Right. So he said, clear up your value system. Don't come here talking about you're gonna come, you don't want to get, you only want to get treasure. Because when we test you and try what the intentions of your heart are, and we realize that you are only seeking riches, or you're only seeking to multiply wives, or you're only seeking some unclean desire, these trials are supposed to press that out of you. Right. So if your desire is really pure, as far as I just want good, you know, I just want what is righteous in life. I don't like when I see someone being taken advantage of. How can I stand on the side that's opposite of exploitation? How can I stand on the side that's opposite of murder and everything wrong I see in the world? So when people come to that crossroads in life where they're like, there's something I don't like about this path over here, and you read the scriptures and love thy neighbor is there, and it speaks to you. Then you say, all right, I was told to follow this way, and I'll see where more of this treasure is. That's the kingdom of heaven. Right. That's the kingdom of righteousness, where you can get more. It says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for what? Righteousness. Not hunger and thirst for more vehicles. Right. More vehicles to put in the garage, or hunger and thirst for land so that they could build huge mansions on. There's nothing wrong with that. If the first thing you're doing is seeking the kingdom of YAH,
then all that's going to be added unto you.
If that's necessary. And if it's not, they'll try you and say, let's pressure him, you know, put him through these seasons of poverty. Is he going to throw away everything, or is his desire for righteousness still going to motivate him? Right. Because at the end of the day, even if you're poor, it's like a magnet to plastic. It shouldn't affect if you're going to be righteous or not.
Right.
But if there is some unclean desire there and you are put under the fire and all the tin and the nickel starts rising up out of the gold, they're going to be like, hey, come on, what's going on here, brother?
Exactly.
You want to keep it, we'll let you. But if you want to toss it out, you have to submit to these trials.
Right.
So,
That's why Saul says, be content. Learn to be content in whatever situation you're in. Because if you're content, I'm content with just keeping these commandments because I know at the end of the day it's going to end well with me. So, yeah, I might have to suffer. I might suffer a little bit right now, but he's going to give me all the desires of my heart. And when I finally am granted it, it's going to be granted forever.
Hallelujah.
So this little time that, you know, like Eloi, Sabbatani, when you look at that in the Aramaic, he's like, look, man,
He spared me.
why you took me away from this? This is nothing. This is nothing. I'm eternal. I've been here. You know, I've been here since the beginning. So this little thing that you take, you know, I should do more because I understand the exceeding wickedness these people. Maybe if I suffer longer, they'll really truly feel what I'm doing for them.
And it'll make up for the sins that they're in.
Right. But Yahweh was like, no, that's enough. That's sufficient for me. Because 2/3 of these people not going to give a damn about this. And their children ain't going to give a damn either. So now that's enough for the people. The suffering you did enough there is more than enough for those that are part of your body. Because they understand you shouldn't have suffered at all. But you did that for us, so now they picking up the suffering for you. You over here in the right hand with me, no longer suffering, and they picking up the suffering for you. And that's what a real servant will do. He's going to pick up that suffering, and he's going to carry that torch of righteousness the same way Yahshua did unto his end. So that's all we're going to do today. Let's go ahead and end in prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings, and all sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem. Brother West, can you go ahead and close us out in prayer, please?
Abba, Father, Yah, Covenant Elohim of Abraham, Yishak, and Jacob, thank you for allowing us to mikra on your Shabbat, Father Yahweh, and to embrace your word once again and to use it. I hope that, you know, we're all able to use it to condition our hearts and as a tool to draw nearer to you, Father Yahweh, and to look at ourselves and to refine ourselves, Father Yahweh, in our continual pursuit of your truth and your truth and your laws, Father Yahweh. In Yahshua HaMashiach's holy mighty name, Father Yahweh. Thank you for everything. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, there we go. It's for the first Shabbat in the new month.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
First Shabbat of summer.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Turn up.